Hey, Eric.
Hey, John, how's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. Nice of you to accommodate me.
Do, do I sound more relaxed?
You do actually. You do actually. Might help that we didn't talk work for a few minutes before
Yeah.
recording as well. But
Well, I am happily on vacation in Hawaii. Rough life, I know.
I have never been to Hawaii.
It is very pleasant here. No one's in a hurry to do anything, can be good or bad.
Okay. Okay.
But no, it's all good. It's all good. All good.
Island life, right?
Yeah, yeah. And this was the first time we kind of traveled with the family since the pandemic started.
Yeah.
And airport travel is a little different. And then you get to Hawaii, we had they have a program for different airlines where you have to get a negative COVID test before you even get on the plane.
Okay.
Otherwise, you have to quarantine for 10 days. And we're not here for 10 days, so
Yeah. That wouldn't play.
So we got the negative COVID test. We filled out the state of Hawaii forms. We all got here. Everything marched right through. Some other people around us, not as straightforward.
In the family group or just observing?
Both in the family
Oh, no.
group, and then just observing other people. We had Grandma and Grandpa are here as well. Grandma and Grandpa, their flight connection was delayed, so they missed their connection, and the next flight they could get on was not till the next day. So they had to go get COVID tests again because it has to be within 72 hours.
Oh, no.
And fill out a whole new flight plan because the next day flight was a different flight. Anyway, and then a family member had a rental car, but it was in Maui and not on Kauai, which is where we are. And
Whoops.
there are no cars to be found anywhere. Rental cars are... Anyways, but
Yeah.
we're all here now. We have a nice little condo that we're hanging out in. There's no desk, so I'm actually at the kitchen table and told everybody to go hang out outside for an hour. So...
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But it's fun. It's fun.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, I will get to Hawaii someday. Maybe.
It's very nice. I mean, as you would expect, an island, it's, like I said, everybody runs at a different speed here, and if you're not used to slowing down, it might be a little rough. So
take a couple of days to adjust.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I expect you to come back to work like nice and relaxed and feeling like you had a nice break.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
That sounds like that'll work. So, have you done anything like particularly fun yet?
Well, we just got here, so most of it was just kind of adjusting, waking up at 4 a.m. because it's 3-hour time difference from the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And then driving around, went to Costco to get food for the condo,
Okay.
Went and saw a couple, went down to the beach, wandered through some tide pools, just general taking it slow, wandering around kind of stuff. So
nice.
Very pleasant. Very pleasant.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, this past weekend was the 4th of July for the States. And evidently for the last 5 years, I know because I got one of those memory things, 5 years ago on this day, I have been taking my boys up to Washington to go out on the beach to light off fireworks.
Right.
Because Oregon does not generally have good fireworks, period. Legal, at least. And
legal being the key word based on my neighborhood.
Yeah. So, Washington does or is more relaxed, and the beach in Long Beach, at least, seems to be a place where people must dump thousands of dollars on fireworks. So every year we go and we're like, why do we even spend any money? Because it's better to just like watch all the things around you. I mean, it's still fun to like light off a few yourself, but this year we didn't buy any. We just went, sat, watched. It was good, but yeah, I took the boys out camping for 3 days, and 3 days. Yeah, we left Friday night and came back Monday. Remind me not to drive on the super tiny windy road just to save half an hour of traffic when you're pulling a trailer. It was some white knuckle driving, and I should have known better. I texted my wife. She had said something like, "Where are you?" or something like that, and we were in traffic, terrible traffic. It was awful. Everybody coming home from camping, and I was like, "Well, Google says it'll save 34 minutes if I go this other way," and I was like, already on that other way when she texted back, something like, with the trailer? Like, okay. Yep. Done. So anyway, but it was a good time was had by all. It was one of those, boy camping trips where we brought the PS4 and the iMac, and actually, I feel pretty bad. We didn't even light a fire the whole time. We had pizza and ate out. It was not the healthiest, but
any fun fireworks hijinks on the beach? I seem to recall last year on the podcast we talked about how a firework tipped over and almost hit somebody.
Yes,
if I recall correctly.
And I did not notice anything like last year, where last year also there were these, I'm going to say them darn kids. But I assume much alcohol was involved. But they were like lighting off the like ground things and then doing like flips on over top of it, to like jump over the lights, but like doing flips over the lights. I'm like, I think you're a couple sheets to the wind, but maybe I have just always been a more cautious, timid, responsible person than that. I don't know. I can't even imagine what it would take to get me to do something along those lines. But hey, to each their own.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is maybe broaching on the political that maybe I shouldn't broach on this, but it was nice. I didn't actually see a Confederate flag all weekend, so that was awesome because that was not the case last year. So I'm sure that I missed them, but that was pleasant. So anyway.
Yeah, we did our usual cul-de-sac. Last year we did a much more socially distant cul-de-sac fireworks show. This year we did something similar. The families in the cul-de-sac just kind of pulled out their fireworks, and everybody around the cul-de-sac cheered when someone else's was good. It was pleasant.
That's cool. And barbecue?
I did barbecue, although it was just simply hamburgers and hot dogs, so nothing fancy.
Well, there is nothing wrong with hamburgers and hot dogs.
No. I wanted to do something fancy, but was overruled. So it was hamburgers and hot dogs.
Well, seeing as in the last 3 nights I have cooked both hamburgers and hot dogs on different nights, I'm there. But it was with fake fire, so I can't.
I'm never going to live that one down.
No, totally not. Totally not. No, that is what it is.
It's all good.
So yeah. It's all good. Well, hey, let's get on into topics. It's okay if this is a short one tonight, since you are like on vacation, man. What'd you bring tonight?
So I had 2, and they're relatively short. There was one Android app article about stealing credentials, and this one was interesting. And they're a security research firm, Russian security research firm, Dr. Web, I hadn't heard of them before, has discovered 9 different Android apps that are hosted in the official Google Play Store, whose sole purpose, well, I shouldn't say sole purpose, who contained functionality to steal Facebook account passwords and credentials. And the apps have been downloaded more than 5.8 million times before they were actually pulled offline. So they've been around for a long time. What was unique about these apps is instead of simply trying to fake the user with a fake Facebook login page, this one actually used the legitimate Facebook login screens. But since they controlled the full app, they were able to do things to convince users to put in their credentials by telling them, hey, you can remove the ads if you put in your Facebook account. And who's not going to just, I can get rid of ads just by connecting my Facebook account? Yay, me. And then when they did that, they were redirected to the actual Facebook login page, but it was loaded inside a web view that was owned by the app. And since that app controlled that whole web view component, they could siphon off the user's credentials right from the legitimate Facebook login page. And that was what was unique about these. Normally, apparently, a easier route is to just try to give a fake login page. This one was being a little extra sneaky by giving you the legitimate Facebook login page.
Well, we talked a number of months ago about, people selling, legit apps that just weren't making a ton of money, and, quote unquote bad actors being able to leverage that to install other things. There's no reason that right. Same, thing couldn't be used here.
Yeah, exactly. So the moral of the story is, again, just because it's on an official app store, still might have issues. Just because it has 500,000 downloads, still might have issues. So be careful about what you download and pay attention to when you're linking anything with other accounts, whether it's Facebook or Google, any other thing. Be careful about what you're doing. Look out for, do some double checking, making sure that this is really what you want to do. So that was article number 1. And article number 2 is this one was just more of a really? That's interesting. So there is a law firm that was hit with ransomware.
Okay.
And so the law firm went and got a court order prohibiting the criminals from publishing the data they stole. And part of me is thinking, I don't think you understand what the word criminal means. Because I was struggling to figure this one out. Why would you go get an injunction, like go through the process of going to court, getting an injunction, so that
I don't know, that problem looks like a nail to me.
Something. And unfortunately, and so this is going to be a downer of an article a little bit, actually, because I was hoping the end of the article would give you the reason why, but it doesn't, because it's an English court, so in the UK, and who knows if this injunction actually will work against anyone outside English courts in the first place.
Sure.
I suppose an extra checkbox for somebody to say, look, hey, we've now got an injunction against you, so not only should you not do this because it's criminal, we also have an injunction. I don't understand this one. Anyway, so those were the two that caught my eye this week on my shortened vacation.
I bet you Putin will get right on that.
Sure.
Sorry, I haven't actually read the article, but
I don't think you need to now.
Okay, so the biggest news of the past week that I am aware of is the Kaseya attack.
I saw this one too. And saw it multiple places, yeah.
Yeah. So, and the article that I'm going to link in the show notes wasn't a breaking article, but it's a Krebs article, which just came out today, that I thought had a nice summary of what had gone on. And I guess I've been a little bit off of, I haven't really been paying attention to this for the last couple days, but I hadn't realized about the sort of the second vulnerability that was involved here. So, Kaseya is a system administration portal that's used by managed service providers to help manage large networks of computers, and I think a lot of small and medium businesses. So outsourcing, and but the Kaseya mostly sells to MSPs, who then turn around and use it to manage networks for many customers. So it's kind of not Kaseya's direct customers, but it's the customers of their customers. And in the article, and it's not quite clear if this number is inflated at the moment, because I've seen others that say that it hasn't been quite as many. But it says that last week, cyber criminals deployed ransomware to 1,500 organizations via a flaw or a vulnerability, and then the second. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And then now it appears, here's the other thing. Now it appears Kaseya's customer service portal was left vulnerable until last week to a data leaking security flaw first identified 6 years ago. So there's actually two issues here. There's the 0 day that was used to actually compromise the Kaseya VSA, or Virtual System Administrator, remote management software. And then separately, there's a longer issue to their billing and customer support site. So for the actual 0 day, it is REvil. I don't know if that says REvil or Revil. I assume REvil. Sorry, anybody who actually knows. But so it says, let's see. Well, it just says that so here the CVE is CVE 2021-30116, and they leveraged this. Hold on a second. Yeah, if you actually look at the CVE record, there's actually no data in there yet. It's just a reservation, basically. I had been hoping that they had more data in there. But the fallout of that is still being felt, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
Quite a number of organizations impacted. But then the kind of crazy side thing is also on July 3rd, so last Saturday, a security incident response firm. Oh, no, sorry. This was Mandiant, but it was actually done by... Gosh, I must not have copied it into my notes, but I think it was Hold Security, who found the actual thing. But anyway, their support site, portal.kaseya.net, was vulnerable to CVE 2015-2862, which was a directory traversal vulnerability in Kaseya VSA.
Right.
And so, it's not like it was a vulnerability in Apache Struts or some other thing. It's a vulnerability in their own software that they patched, presumably 6 years ago, but then were running an unpatched version of. And so the let's see, who is he? Michael Sanders, here's a quote. Michael Sanders, Executive Vice President of Account Management at Kaseya, confirmed that the customer portal was taken offline in response to a vulnerability report. Sanders said the portal had been retired in 2018 in favor of a more modern customer support and ticketing system, yet somehow the old site was still left available online. It was deprecated, but left up, Sanders said. So the problem was tidying up. Presumably they found and fixed the flaw, the original bug, years ago. Although, why, if it was only deprecated in 2018, that means that it was still running for 3 years since the vulnerability was found. But anyway, Uh, the comment is that there's no evidence that that the customer service portal was involved in the ongoing ransomware deployments in 0-day.
Right.
It's kind of coincident. But the official patch for the 0-day still hasn't been released, even as of today at least. It says Kaseya told customers on July 7th, so as we're recording this, that would have been yesterday, that it was, quote, working through the night to push out an update. So, maybe a little more on this as time goes by, but this was probably the single biggest article of the week that I saw.
Yeah, I saw a lot on this floating around quite a bit in various different takes.
So my second article was, I feel a little bit bad about, kind of calling out a security company, but this is a password generation flaw in Kaspersky Password Manager. I saw this on Twitter, and then I saw Schneier posted a link, and then, but the link I'll put in here is the thing that Schneier linked to, who I believe were the original finders of this. But so what's important if you're going to have a password manager is that it generates secure passwords.
Good passwords.
Exactly. So one of the first rules, if ever you're interested in getting into the security industry, probably one of the first things you should learn is don't roll your own security algorithms. Don't roll your own encryption. Don't roll your own hashing. Like there are rigorous mathematical proofs, testing that is done, and wild breaking, the history of encryption algorithms, finding and exploiting their weaknesses is fascinating, and is why, nobody practically should ever write their own encryption or, pretty much any algorithm like that. So this is maybe a little off to the side, but it falls into some of the same traps. I mean, the problem with, at the root, one of the problems with, security software is randomness. How do you truly have a random number generator and have something that is not predictable? And, that will provide something that is reproducible. And, because most random number generators that people become familiar with at the beginning are technically, pseudo random number generators that aren't really random. So,
right.
The TLDR for this particular thing is that there were a couple of problems in how the Kaspersky Password Manager created passwords, which led to the fact that they could be reproduced. So the most critical failure was that it used a pseudo-random number generator not suited for cryptographic purposes, where the source of entropy was the current time, which means that if you knew the time, or even if you didn't know the exact time that a password was generated, you could brute force all passwords that would be created for the given year, for example,
right,
in a few seconds. Like,
yep.
It doesn't take any. Computers are very good at going, fast.
Next.
Yeah, exactly. So this was an interesting read in the middle, but one of the other things that talked about in this article was how important it is for a random number generator or a random password generator to, if you're going to use a particular set of characters, how important it is that your character distribution be uniform. Because that's one of the problems is, if, uh, asymmetrical portion of time, or, if it generates one particular letter more often than something else, you can bias the algorithm, and
right.
you at the end of the day, you won't have a random password. So that was sorry, that was a little bit that was interesting in this particular article. The other thing that was kind of weird was that they did a bunch of like work to try, and it says in the article, it says it uses a complex method to generate the passwords to make them hard to break for standard password crackers, which is kind of weird because the standard password crackers are looking for things like, THs next to each other, or, things that using a Markov generator to try and, with evident or Markov chain, to think that the, human generated passwords are less likely to be really random. So you'd think that having a truly random, like a solidly randomly generated password would actually be a pretty good way around that. So that I didn't quite grok the logic there. But the point of it was, since their sort of fancy logic to try and generate a password that would be even harder to crack like that, if you knew the algorithm, it makes it even easier to crack the password. So it quote unquote, here's the quote, such a method lowers the strength of the generated password against dedicated tools. So, but then, at the end of the day, the sort of coup de grace there is the fact that since it's seeded with the current time in seconds, it means, and here's a quote, means every password generated by vulnerable versions of KPM can be brute forced in minutes or in a second if you know the approximate generation time.
Right.
So this was a big one. And then my last kind of point that I pulled out about this was the timeline seemed
long,
crazy to me. It was first reported to Kaspersky through HackerOne on June 15th, 2019. So no Project Zero for these guys.
No.
They had 2 years to fix, roll out, patch, etc. This defect. So I'm glad that it's fixed. I'm glad that happened. I think that Kaspersky, I hope they paid this person a decent bounty, because this was a long time to wait too. So yeah, it went all the way from June 15th, 2019 to Kaspersky confirmed the vulnerability on June 25th. So 10 days later, they had a build a couple months after that. A build in October that fixed some of the vulnerabilities, but not all of them, it looks like. And then eventually, it's kind of weird. It looks as if the actual flaw was fixed by December of 2019, but that they took 2020 to well, no, they didn't. It's not that they took 2020. It's that they released it took them until October 13th, 2020 to basically decide to ship a version that would ask users to regenerate. Well, it says, quote, a notification to users to inform them some passwords must be regenerated, aka, I presume, passwords generated prior to the fixed patch would be regenerated. And then, it eventually is fixed in the mobile version too. And then, finally the CVE the information, or the security advisory, was published in April. The CVE was fleshed out in May, and then this report came out this week. So a 2-year process, more than 2-year process.
That's a long time.
I'm glad that, glad they got it fixed.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that they're very grateful for, that person that reported it to them was so patient. Because I think, Google Project Zero would not be so
as patient,
generous, generally. Anyway, so there you go. That was my two articles.
Yeah, I saw both of those and read through those. That the password one was interesting because we talk about passwords a lot, I think. So I'm always interested in a password.
Passwords are hard. It's hard to do them right, hard to generate them right, and yeah, they should not exist. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for the day. So, all right. Well, hey, Mr. Vacation Man, how about something fun?
My something fun. Have you seen Goomix.net?
I have not. I didn't click on it.
So go ahead and click on it. And what this is a comic that apparently a Google employee kept for years while an employee on an internal board. So it was an internal Google comic, which is now public. And it's very much software development engineering related. And there is years of these if you go through them. And some are funnier than others. Some are brutal. Some are sweet. But there is an absolute, you just pick a random one. There is an absolute reflection to software engineering in general in all of these, or leadership in general, or competition, you name it as part of the software industry, it's reflected somewhere in here. But I stumbled across this on Twitter, and some of these are hilarious. Some of them are interesting, let's just say. Some of the Apple, Google insider stuff going on. It talks about some things that I guess Google has a TGIF, which is like an internal talk to the executives forum, which it is very uncomplimentary of.
I see that one.
For the lack of openness. And anyways, there's some Steve Ballmer ones in here. If you go to the early days, like comic number 1 or 2 or 3, those are, there's a lot of Microsoft patent trolling ones. So it's not all kind of, it's neither pro nor anti-Google. It's just is like a snapshot in this comic's life or week as a Google employee, it seems. And there, some of them, like I said, it was fun. If you are in software engineering at all, Goomix, GOOMICS.net.
Okay.
And I guarantee you some will.
I'm clicking on a bunch
that
of
happened
these.
to me today at work. At some point you go, I resemble that comic. So that's my something fun for this week is Goomix. And I assume it's pronounced Goomix because it's Google.
Okay then.
I know. It's a rabbit hole you can get lost in for a while. So
okay.
You'll have to swap
I've
tabs.
clicked on a few of them here. So funny.
All right.
Okay, that's cool. All right. Well, I have two something funs, and they're I'm afraid they're a little more involved than reading some cartoons. Sorry, dude.
I'm a simple guy.
But the first one, I tweeted this out sometime this weekend.
I saw that.
Or this week. But this is a article about James Barry, who was a surgeon in the British Army, born in Cork, Ireland, in 1789. And James Barry, got a medical degree from the University of Edinburgh, served in Cape Town, South Africa, and then in many parts of the British Empire. And before retirement, rose to the rank of Inspector General, which is equivalent to a brigadier, in charge of military hospitals, the second highest medical office in the British Army. But on their death, it was found out that they were a biological female, even though they lived their entire life for 89 to 65, but it was 56 years or something like that in the British Army as a man throughout posts throughout the empire. And the story behind this. I would love to. It turns out, reading the Wikipedia page, that it looks like there are a book or two that are about this person's life. But the thinking of the life they must have lived is amazing. But I loved a couple quotes in here. So the link I'll put in here is just to the Wikipedia page. But one of the posts was to Cape Town, South Africa in 1816. So this was not long after getting their degree. But says, following the successful, even spectacular treatment of Lord Charles's sick daughter, Barry was welcomed into the family and maintained a close friendship with the governor and became his personal physician. In 1822, Somerset, that's the governor, appointed Barry as colonial medical inspector, an extraordinary jump in expectations, which brought with it great responsibility. And then over 10 years of work in the Cape, Barry effected significant changes, among them improvements to sanitation and water systems, improved conditions for enslaved people, prisoners, the mentally ill, and provision of a sanctuary for the leper population. Barry also performed one of the first known successful cesarean sections in which both mother and child survived. The child was christened James Barry Munnick in Barry's honor, and the name was passed down through the family, leading to Barry's name being borne by a later Prime Minister of South Africa, J.B.M. Hertzog. And then it says, I'll just do like a couple other things here. It says, whenever Barry or wherever Barry served across the British Empire, improvements were made to sanitary conditions and the conditions and diet of both the common soldier and other underrepresented groups. Barry was outraged by unnecessary suffering and took a heavy-handed, sometimes tactless approach to demanding improvements for the poor and underprivileged, which often incited anger from officials and military officers. On several occasions, Barry was both arrested and demoted for the extremity of this behavior. How awesome! And then this is cool. Barry held strict and unusually modern views about nutrition, being completely vegetarian and teetotal, and while keeping most personal relationships distant, was very fond of pets, particularly a beloved poodle named Psyche. So, anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I saw you tweeted
the fact that
things. That was cool.
Yeah. The fact that they were, biologically female and had marks suggesting that she had borne a child at some point, didn't come out until after her death. And it says, quote, after the matter was made public, many people claimed to have known it all along, but the British Army, seeking to suppress the story, sealed all records of Barry for the next 100 years. So, amazing story. So that's my first something fun. My second something fun, and this something fun is on Good News Network. So my wife texted this to me, but this is there is a project. So there's two things in this. There's a project in India for covering canals, water canals for like irrigation canals with solar panels. And then there's a study out of the University of, I think it was USC, of what doing something like this could mean for California if California did it. So it says the Indian state of Gujarat in there was a pilot project in 2014 covering 750 meters of canal space, and then it led to the creation of an entire canal-topped solar plant in Vadodara district, and another one totaling 100 megawatts off the Narmada River. So they found that the water running beneath the panels cools them, and I've read another article about like planting underneath the solar panels, but that prevents overheating and results in an average efficiency increase of 2 to 5%. And maybe more important, it winds up preventing a significant evaporation loss of the water. It says that the panels suspended by cables above the canals save 73 million liters of water while generating 8.4 million kilowatts of energy annually since 2017. So that's awesome. And then the study out of USC says that it could create a cost savings from both water conservation, real estate costs, aquatic weed maintenance, and enhanced electricity production, which outweighed the increased cost of building the more complex solar array. So, and the state currently uses diesel-powered water pumps to drive the flow of the canals, and they could replace those with solar-driven pumps, or solar energy, at least. And, let's see, it says, so California has 290 days of average days of sunshine, and something like 4,000 miles of canals. And they have a water shortage and are doing, sometimes ration water, etc. So, it's the sort of win-win, potentially at least, win-win-win for generating, renewable energy, saving evaporation, making it easier to not have to use fossil fuels to pump the water, and etc. So it says UC Santa Cruz. Sorry, that's nuts. UC Santa Cruz has investigated this method for use in California and estimates that on top of generating green energy, it would save 63.5 billion gallons of water from evaporation annually. A massive windfall for a state that sometimes rations water and which regularly suffers from droughts. So
yeah, I want to say I read an article along these lines a year or so ago. This idea has been proposed or at least investigated for a while. Because I've also been reading up a lot of almond growers in California. The almond trees are very water intensive.
Yeah.
And California produces 80% of the world's almond crop. So figuring out how to save water in California would be very beneficial. So I think this is a brilliant idea. California's always got sun, especially along the canals. If you've ever been driven through, the valley where things grow, most of the food grows, plenty of sun.
Right?
This would be cool.
All right. Well, there's my something fun. So
I like it.
There you go. All right, my friend. Enjoy your week of vacation.
I'm going to go continue vacating.
We'll actually still get another recording with you on vacation next week.
Vacation happened to be right at the beginning and right at the end. So
yeah. So all right. Well, we'll check in with you again next week then.
All right. Thanks, John.
Be well. Talk to you later,
We'll
Eric.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.